First things first, how are you?
I'm good. I'm very good. I'm happy. Yeah.
Anything in particular, or just?
No, it's just a good period in my life. So.
Okay. Well, let's jump straight into it then, because this kind of shines through in your album, and your bio also mentions it.
Mm.
So, where was your mind leading up to the album?
Sorry?
Where was your mind leading up to the album? In what kind of headspace were you?
When I was planning the album, I was coming out of a period of playing my old songs. I was doing a tour with the album called Songs, which is like a collection of my albums. And I also done tours with the Rarities album, which was, so it was like a quite long tour experience. A lot of fun, good tours. I was very hungry to write music. The last recordings I did was in 2011, so it's quite a long time ago. And I had also had quite a long break in between because I fell ill in an autoimmune disease that I have. So I had like a 6-month, 8-month break from everything, and I kind of started over with a new perspective of life, and kind of. So the working with this album has felt very positive and inspiring in many ways. I feel I was quite. It was a longer process of doing an album that I've done before. We worked for 8 months, but with quite long breaks in between because I did a solo tour. But it was an album that had to grow on me. It had to land in me over time. So.
In what way did the songs take on?
No, the songs
meaning?
were finished, but the core of the songs were finished. But the sound of the album had to be developed over time because we were trying to do something new. So I had to kind of let things grow, and certain songs needed 3 or 4 versions before we could find the right version. Because I wanted it to have a bigger sound and more beats and bass, and like some of the songs are quite poppy, and I wanted still to keep the intimacy and the organic feeling of the music. So that took a little work because it's easy when you put a lot of stuff in there that you lose the intimacy.
Right.
So we had to work a little bit with that.
What inspired you to go for a bigger sound?
I think because of the live shows that I've done in the last few years. I just wanted to see if I could capture that on an album. And I also wanted more rhythms and more energy in the music. Just wanted to kind of develop as well and try to step out of my comfort zone a little bit.
And now that the album is finished and there's some time between it, do you listen back to it now?
I do actually listen to it quite often. Once a week or so I listen to it and feel very happy with it.
Okay. Well, you mentioned that before the album you were on tour and then you fell ill. In that period, did you write already? Did song ideas? Well, both on tour, but also when you weren't.
I was so ill I couldn't write music. It was more. I was in the hospital, so I didn't write music. So I was in the hospital for a few weeks, so it took quite a long time to be able to work. But I started writing lyrics maybe a few months after.
Okay.
But the songwriting was mostly last year, so a year after I got well. So the songwriting process started a year after I was healthy again. So.
What was the first song you wrote?
Let's see. I think that Signing Off was more or less finished, but Still Waters was the second. So.
And usually when when an artist starts with certain songs, they kind of function as a blueprint or something to which the other songs gravitate.
Yeah.
Was this the case with you?
Not the songwriting process, but the recording process. When we started recording, we recorded directions first, and that kind of set the mode of the album. So that became like the center of our sound. But the songwriting process was very, what do you call it, intuitive. I didn't really think in any kind of plan. I was just writing music. So I never really write songs as that they don't connect to each other. I see that afterwards, that things are connected because of the time that I'm in.
Can you give me an example then of a connection you now see that wasn't there for you before?
Well, it's more the lyrics that I think that both Signing Off and Still Waters are kind of about the same things. It's like a kind of moving on from something, leaving something behind that you wanna live in a different way, maybe, or have a different perspective on life. I think that's what it's about.
And was this something that happened after you got better physically?
Yes, it was a very big change in my way of dealing with life. Was through that period of illness in 2012. A lot of things changed for me. I started dealing with a lot of old worries that I've been working a lot with. So I kind of managed to release myself from a lot of old patterns and old ghosts. So when I went back into my life, I felt stronger.
Was there something in particular that made you go back and look at these things, or?
No, I just had to, because it was taking so much of my energy. I had to change it. It was one of the reasons why I got sick, because I was worrying too much and thinking too much.
And so then you start with these two songs, Still Water and Signing Off. Did they help kind of erase those demons, so to say?
No, they were more like an aftermath after thinking about all these things.
Did some of the songs come from that period where you were working through these issues?
Oh, they're written after everything.
Okay.
So.
But so it's only looking back on that period. Okay. Because I've wrote down a couple of things about the song, so I'm not sure how much you want to talk about it. But well, what you mentioned before, directions, is very much it sends a message. Well, let me explain. What was the? I'll let you explain it. What was the spark for that song?
Directions.
Yeah.
Well, the funny thing is, I wrote the song on an old lyric that I had lying around, and it was very dark. It was like there's no open doors, everything's closed, and everything's hopeless, kind of thing, which was written a few years back. And then when I recorded the demo, I just felt this feels so wrong. I don't feel this way anymore. So I tried to just change that perspective totally. And so it became a song about open perspective and open doors and open horizons and every possibility, and just kind of it became a much more positive song. I didn't feel like singing a dark song like that. So.
Well, the line I wrote down from that song is "All and everything is possible, even when the sun doesn't shine."
Yeah.
So that's quite of a turnaround then.
That's a big turnaround.
But what was this again? That positive mind space that you were in after you felt better?
Yeah.
Okay. So you have these initial songs, and there are also a couple of songs, not specifically written about yourself, but more about issues that concern a lot of people. So let's take "You Lit My Fire." You mentioned a couple of women. Can you give me? You allude to women. So can you give me? You talk about certain women. So can you give me a couple examples of?
And this "Lit My Fire" is actually like a homage to all women who has fought for human rights and equal rights. And I feel that we easily take them for granted. We kind of forget why we, as women, have the right to vote, and why men are more involved in their kids, and why women work full time, and why you can choose not to be a housewife. You can, all these choices that we have today. It's like many people forget that it comes from somewhere. It's not something that was given to us. There were quite a few women and some men, but mostly women who sacrificed everything to get this. And you can go back to the suffragettes, and you can go back to the 70s and the 50s, and all these women fighting during the war, the Second World War, how women was fighting for how to get women into the society in the same way as men. And I feel that feminism and equal rights is something that's it's good for everyone. It's a healthy way of seeing a society, and I feel that a lot of people forget to see that the rights we have were actually fought for. And I think it's important to think about that, because if we don't, then we can forget and we can start losing them again. Because you see that in some countries, in Spain for instance, the laws of abortion are changing, and there's been discussion even in Scandinavia and certain countries, it's so unreal, because that we thought that was over, And then if we start forgetting that it's actually a continuous fight, I think we might be able to. Same with democracy, we have to keep it alive, because there's always going to be someone who wants to grab the power. So you have to kind of work for that all the time and be conscious about it.
Is that why you chose to write it now?
I think I was just very frustrated, because it was an election in Sweden, and we have a feminist party in Sweden. I think it's the only feminist party in government, or not government, but in the, what do you call it, parliament. And there were so many discussions around feminism, and there are so many people, not many people, but quite a few people who don't want to call themselves feminists, and they are angry with feminists, and they're provoked by feminists. And for me, it's just, I don't understand how you can be, because you're working for something that's good for everyone. And so I was kind of frustrated by the discussion that well, everything's fine, we have our equal rights, blah blah blah. I just kind of think, that feeling of do you remember how this happened? So that's where it come from. I was frustrated. And
is it something you face in the music industry yourself as well? Is that a
well, it's better now than it used to be, I think. But it's I remember a few years ago, it was like everyone was talking about like a big wave of female artists, and it was almost like they talked about a genre of music. That music played by women was a genre.
Right.
And it was so strange. It was like there's rock, and then there's music made by women, and it was very, very strange. And for a while I was like, ugh, sick of that. But I feel it's changing a little bit now. It's better now. And most men I meet are fantastic and generous and want to invite us in. So I think it's changing with the new generation. So